and express how you feel because you may end up in prison. And I ain't getting tricked off the streets.
Won't get the Boosie, won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking.
Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me, it's just, you know.
Boosie going to jail!
Boosie Badazz might be facing the biggest hit of his life, a 10-year federal sentence. And guess who popped out the second that news broke? None other than Charleston White, the internet's loudest troll. The moment Boosie's case hit the blogs, Charleston jumped on live acting like he just hit the lottery. He was laughing, cracking jokes, saying he always knew Boosie would end up behind bars and that he'd been waiting to celebrate this day. Can you imagine? He even went as far as saying he wouldn't care if Boosie never came back home. The disrespect was wild. Now, Boosie had already told his fans earlier this month that he decided to take a plea deal because he was tired of fighting. He said he wanted peace, even though this same case had been dismissed once before. But in 2024, prosecutors came back swinging, re-indicting him with even heavier charges. This time, they were clearly out for blood. 10 years, that's what's on the table now, and the weight of it showing. While Boosie's been posting emotional messages about trusting God and being worn down by all the legal battles, Charleston White is online popping champagne like it's his birthday. It's chaos on both sides. For anyone new to Boosie's situation, his legal problems didn't just start yesterday. They've been chasing him for years.
Feds picked it up.
Now, it was a state case. The feds came, picked it up. They had a ruling in the Supreme Court that went in my favor, and the case got dropped by the judge. The case got dropped.
But this gun case might be the one that seals his fate for real. He got hit with being a felon in possession of a firearm, which is one of the hardest charges to beat in the federal system. That alone had fans worried. But things actually started looking up back in 2023 when the case got dismissed. Everybody thought he finally caught a break, ready to focus on music, family, and staying low-key. But nope. The feds spun the block in 2024 like they had unfinished business. They re-indicted him on the same charge, basically saying, nice try, but we're not done with you yet. That's when Boosie finally broke down and took the plea deal.
We're gonna go to trial with it from the dump, actually, but I feel like this the right move for me. You know, I trust in God, but...
He even went on X to admit, I thought this case was over and I was gonna get on with my life. But God don't make mistakes, and I'm tired of fighting. You could feel the exhaustion in his words. The man's been battling the system his whole career, and now it looks like he might be running out of time. This wasn't just another L for Boosie. This was the moment everything he'd been running from finally caught up with him. When the news dropped, fans rushed to his mentions, flooding him with love and prayers, but you could feel the pain in his words. This wasn't the same Boosie who used to clap back at every critic or joke his way through drama. This was a man who sounded drained, like the fight had finally taken everything out of him. His post hit different this time. That mix of faith and surrender. It felt like he was trying to accept whatever came next, trusting God while knowing the road ahead might break him. People who followed Boosie since his Baton Rouge come up know this ain't his first storm. He's been dodging chaos his whole life, from street beefs and courtroom battles to life-threatening health scares. Boosie's always been a survivor, but this time, it just feels heavier. 10 years isn't a setback, it's a life shift. You could read it in every single word he typed. While fans were praying over him, Charleston White was doing the complete opposite. The man couldn't wait to jump online, grinning from ear to ear like he just won something.
Boosie going to jail! Oh, God! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look out for street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. He going to jail. All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
He went live, bragging that he called it, saying he always knew Boosie wouldn't dodge this one. Charleston made sure everybody knew. He didn't believe for a second Boosie would walk free. And now that the sentence is official, he's celebrating like it's a parade. But then he crossed a whole new line, saying he hopes Boosie dies in jail. Wild, right? Even for Charleston, that was out of pocket. But that's exactly how he built his career, being the loudest, most reckless troll in hip-hop culture. What really made it sting is the timing. Boosie hadn't even had a full day to process the news. to sit with the weight of that sentence before Charleston turned it into a full-blown comedy show for clout. Charleston White's trolling ain't new, but when it comes to Boosie, it hits different. His obsession feels personal, almost like he's carrying a grudge. Every single time Boosie runs into legal trouble, Charleston shows up right on cue, laughing, ranting, and stirring chaos like it's his favorite hobby. It's gotten so consistent that people are now asking the real question: why does Charleston White hate Boosie this much? Because this ain't just random internet drama anymore. This beef runs deep. Their bad blood goes all the way back to late 2022, right around the time Kanye West set the internet on fire with that infamous White Lives Matter shirt.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, this Kanye West shit just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, you know, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. You can't take no risk of losing this shit behind you.
Boosie was one of the first to speak up, saying Kanye was disrespecting black people. And honestly, most of the culture agreed with him at that moment. But Charleston White, oh no, he flipped the whole script. He jumped online blasting Boosie for even speaking on Yee's name, claiming Boosie was out of line and fake woke. And that's when everything went left. Instead of just going at Boosie directly, Charleston took things way too far. He dragged Boosie's son Tootie Raw into the mess and even brought T.I.'s son King Harris into it too. He insulted them on live, saying they were ugly, that they couldn't fight, and even predicted they'd end up locked up one day. That's when people finally realized Charleston wasn't just another loudmouth chasing clout. He was willing to go below the belt, targeting kids just to hit their parents where it hurts. It shocked everyone how far he was willing to take it. But the wildest part, Boosie stayed cool. Instead of blowing up like people expected, he kept it calm and strategic. During an interview with Tony the Closer, he explained exactly why, saying that if he reacted the way Charleston wanted, it could easily land him behind bars again. He knew that once someone brings your kids into the drama, every move gets magnified. One wrong word, one angry response, and it could all spiral out of control. That moment showed a different side of Boosie, a man trying to stay free even when pushed to the edge. So instead of snapping like everyone expected, Boosie held back. He kept his cool and gave one of the most controlled responses of his career.
I ain't really got no opinion on him because, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really, I ain't really got no opinion on him, once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you out of line. So, I ain't the one gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison. And I ain't getting tricked off the streets.
In that interview, he broke down exactly why he refused to take the bait, and it said it all. Boosie wasn't scared of Charleston White, not even close. He just knew Charleston was the kind of dude who wanted him to explode, who'd twist every word until it looked like Boosie was threatening him or breaking the law. Boosie knew the system was waiting for any excuse to lock him up again, so he played it smart, stayed calm, and refused to give Charleston what he wanted. But deep down, the tension was bubbling. And by early 2023, things were about to explode. That year, the beef hit a whole new level of ugly. Charleston was already online trolling T.I. over his so-called paperwork party, but then Boosie's son Tootie Raw jumped in to defend his pops. He clapped back, calling Charleston old, messy, and even told him to go die. That's when Charleston went completely off the rails. He hopped on live and said one of the most cold-hearted things anyone could say. I hope your daddy died from that diabetes. I hope China don't send the insulin over here 1 month. Like, who even says something like that? He basically wished death on Boosie just to get under his son's skin. It was dark, personal, and flat out disgusting. Then things got worse. Just weeks later, Tootie Raw actually got arrested in a gun case, and guess who popped up immediately trying to take credit? Charleston White. He bragged online, saying he was the one who called the police. He even claimed he sent in photos and tipped off the Department of Public Safety, acting like he just did the world a favor. He said the cops were already watching Tootie because Boosie's a 6-time convicted killer who uses kids to do his dirt. That was insane. Charleston was painting Boosie like some kind of mob boss just to get views. That moment was the breaking point. The second this whole thing stopped being harmless trolling and turned into real-life damage. People realized Charleston wasn't just running his mouth for clicks. He was playing dangerous games with people's lives. And not even 3 months later, karma came back around fast. Boosie himself got arrested again in San Diego, right when he thought he'd finally found peace. The drama had officially jumped off the internet and straight into the streets. When Boosie's next case hearing came up, Charleston White couldn't wait to jump online and start laughing like it was comedy hour. He went live on Instagram saying Boosie's arrest was God's plan, comparing him to Daniel in the lion's den. He twisted it like Boosie was chosen to prove something by surviving prison. But the way Charleston said it, you could tell he was mocking more than preaching. He turned Boosie's pain into a sermon, talking like his downfall was divine punishment. Fans couldn't even tell if he was being serious or just trolling for attention. Either way, it came off mad disrespectful. Months later, Boosie finally decided to break his silence in an interview with Vlad TV. You could see it all over his face, the anger, the exhaustion, the restraint.
Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
He admitted he didn't even want Vlad to interview Charleston because of everything that man had said about his son, Tootie Raw. And once again, Boosie made it clear. It wasn't fear holding him back. It was discipline. He said it himself, plain and simple. I'm not scared of that man. I'm just trying to stay free. That one line summed it all up perfectly. Still, even though Boosie stayed calm on camera, it was obvious Charleston was living rent-free in his head. This man was constantly being brought up in interviews, podcasts, and live streams, like a shadow Boosie couldn't shake. Then came early 2024 when the beef took over the internet all over again. Aiden Ross, one of the biggest streamers online, had Boosie lined up for a live appearance, but Boosie backed out, not wanting to deal with any of Charleston's drama. That should have been the end of it, right? Wrong. Next thing you know, Aiden flipped the story. He jumped online claiming he turned Boosie down, saying it was out of loyalty to Charleston White. The internet went crazy over that claim, and suddenly Boosie was being painted like the one who got rejected. The whole thing spiraled until DJ Vlad himself stepped in, calling Aiden out for siding with Charleston, the same man who had praised Hitler and denied the Holocaust. It was pure chaos. That whole mess showed just how far Charleston's shadow stretched. Even young influencers were using his name as clout currency. Charleston had become the internet's favorite villain, controversial, unpredictable, and always ready to stir the pot. And even after all that noise, he still wouldn't let Boosie breathe. By March 2024, Charleston was back on live, claiming Boosie had allegedly warned promoters not to book him for events. He spun it into another rant, saying he'd already reached out to the feds and was ready to get Boosie locked up again over what he called threats. Then, as usual, he crossed another line, dragging Boosie's health into it, mocking his diabetes and saying the FBI should watch him before the disease takes him out first. It was cold, cruel, and attention hungry. Here's Charleston in that viral clip going off again, swearing he'd get Boosie jammed up through the FBI. The man wasn't just poking fun anymore, he was playing a dangerous game, trying to weaponize the system against a rapper who was already fighting to keep his freedom. Once again, Charleston White had zero proof behind his claims, but it didn't matter one bit. He said it loud enough, repeated it often enough, and suddenly the internet ran with it like it was gospel. The damage was already done. Even Boosie himself admitted that he's been getting calls from guys inside prison joking with him, asking, "When you coming to join us, big dog?" Imagine that. You're sitting at home waiting on sentencing, already carrying the weight of a possible 10-year federal bid, and now you're hearing dudes inside clowning you before you even step foot behind bars? That's brutal. And Charleston knows exactly what he's doing. He feeds off that humiliation like it's oxygen. But here's the wild part people are whispering about. Boosie didn't even want to go through a trial. He skipped straight to a plea deal. And honestly, can anyone blame him? Because think about it. If for some wild reason Charleston White had managed to pop up in that courtroom, it would have turned into a full-blown circus. You know, he would have been testifying, pointing fingers, cracking jokes at the stand, and then running straight to the blogs the second he stepped outside to brag about it. The man thrives on attention. He would have turned Boosie's trial into his own personal live stream. And crazy as it sounds, it's not that far-fetched. Charleston has a history of working with law enforcement, and he's never been shy about it. He even brags about being a proud snitch, like it's a badge of honor. But if you look back at his story, you start to see where that mindset came from. According to court records and old reports, when Charleston was just 14 years old, he got caught up in a robbery with a few other teens. During that robbery, one of them, a boy named Antoine Doolittle, allegedly shot and killed a man named Michael Levy. When the case hit court, Charleston testified against his own crew. In street culture, that's unforgivable. That label sticks with you forever. Even though he was a kid, people still drag him to this day for telling on one of his own. But here's the twist. Charleston doesn't run from it. He actually defends it. He said on live before, "I was young, I was in court, I told the truth. That's not snitching, that's survival." To him, there's no shame in it. He sees it as doing what he had to do to make it out alive. So when Charleston talks about calling the feds or turning in rappers, he's not bluffing. He really believes he's on some higher moral mission. That's the scary part. He's not just trolling, he's rewriting the rules, turning snitching into part of his brand. And now that same energy is what's haunting Boosie as he waits for the gavel to drop. Here's Charleston, in his own words, explaining exactly why he thinks telling isn't betrayal, it's the truth. But here's the thing. New footage from Charleston White's old juvenile case just resurfaced online, and the internet is on fire. People are dragging him left and right, calling him a hypocrite.
He pulled off, and the hammer back on the gun.
And then what happened?
He fired.
The clip shows Charleston talking about that same case from when he was 14. And now the comments are flooded with folks saying you can't preach street code one day and brag about testifying the next. The contradictions are wild. Everyone's reposting that same clip, using it to expose how Charleston switches sides whenever it benefits him. Instead of backing down, Charleston doubled down. He jumped online, puffing his chest, saying he never lived by no street code and he doesn't care who's mad.
I'm not a street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that." I got to pay for a lawyer. I got two lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stearns. Louis Stearns became Judge Stearns, Judge Louis Stearns. But nigga, I had two paid for lawyers. My mama is a well-to-do mama. I'm just playing, I ain't playing. I'm an adolescent going through an adolescent stage of rebelliousness. I ain't no street. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy.
That's crazy, because this is the same man who calls other rappers rats every time they cooperate with police. The hypocrisy is out in the open, but Charleston's response is pure arrogance. He treats the whole thing like a joke, like he's untouchable. And honestly, when you look at everything Boosie's been through, it makes sense why he didn't even want to risk going to trial. The last thing he needed was a circus in the courtroom with Charleston White, turning it into a live performance. Think about it. This is a man who brags about calling the cops, sets people up for clicks, and proudly admits he snitched as a teenager. Boosie knew that if Charleston got even the slightest opportunity to be involved, he'd turn that courtroom upside down just for the attention. Picture it. Charleston strutting into court like it's a YouTube stream, cracking jokes, pointing fingers at Boosie, and then hopping on live right after saying, "Yeah, I helped put Boosie away." And that's not some wild what-if scenario. That's exactly how Charleston moves. He's built his whole brand off embarrassing people, off using the justice system as a stage for clout. That's why Boosie's decision to take a plea deal instead of facing trial doesn't look weak. It looks strategic. He's been through the system before. He knows how it twists words, how fast it can turn a spectacle into a sentence. And with Charleston White lurking in the background, waiting to turn his downfall into another viral moment, who wouldn't try to end it quietly? Now Charleston's online celebrating louder than ever, popping bottles, shouting scripture, calling it divine justice. when really, he's just enjoying the spotlight. Every time Boosie's name trends, Charleston gets another wave of clout, and he knows it. This isn't about God's plan or street justice anymore. It's about who can make the most noise, and right now, Charleston White's treating Boosie's pain like primetime entertainment. For Charleston White, this whole situation ain't just about Boosie catching another charge. To him, it's karma. He sees it as proof that all his trolling, all his wild rants, every insult he's ever thrown is finally paying off. In Charleston's mind, this is validation, his moment. Every time Boosie's name hits the headlines, Charleston acts like it's confirmation that he was right all along. He's been saying it for years. These rappers ain't real. They're just criminals waiting on their turn. And now that Boosie's facing real time, Charleston's out here celebrating like he just won the Super Bowl. When you connect the dots, the beef that started back in 2022, the jabs at Tootie Raw, the arrests, the non-stop trolling, and the open bragging about snitching, it starts looking like Charleston's been waiting for this moment. Almost like he's been preying on Boosie's downfall, just counting down the days until something like this happened. And now that it's finally here, he's basking in it, loud, smug, and unbothered. As it stands, Boosie isn't behind bars yet. But with this plea deal hanging over his head, the reality is harsh. He could be staring down a full decade in federal prison. 10 years of silence, away from the mic, the stage, the world, and you can already tell Charleston's loving every second of this uncertainty. While Boosie's posting emotional words about faith and patience, Charleston's online acting like he's already won the war. The streets are split right now. Half the crowd's laughing with Charleston, the other half's holding their breath, waiting to see if that gavel really drops. But here's the part that stings the most. If Charleston White is this loud while Boosie's still technically free, just imagine the circus he'll unleash if Boosie actually gets sentenced. You already know he'll turn that moment into a live stream, a sermon, and a celebration, all rolled into one chaotic show. If Boosie really ends up getting sentenced, it's not just another rapper going down, it's a moment that could shift the culture. The same Boosie who fought through cancer, beat cases, and survived the streets might be facing his hardest test yet. 10 years ain't light. That's a lifetime in hip-hop years. But what makes it even more twisted is how Charleston White's shadow keeps hovering over every headline. He's not just reacting, he's feeding off it, turning Boosie's pain into performance art. Every live, every rant, every viral clip makes it clear. Charleston sees himself as the messenger of karma, while the rest of us see a man addicted to chaos. But the real question is, how much longer can this go on before it gets dangerous? Because when one man's downfall becomes another man's entertainment, that's when lines get blurred. Boosie's trying to hold on to peace, saying he's tired of fighting and leaving it in God's hands, but the internet doesn't rest. Every new post, every prayer, every update just gives Charleston more fuel to twist the story his way. Right now, the rap world's watching closely. Will Boosie rise again like he always does, or will this be the chapter that breaks him for good? Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure, Charleston White won't stay quiet. He'll be right there shouting, trolling, and claiming victory like he wrote the script himself. But deep down, fans know the truth. This isn't about karma, this is about clout. So as Boosie faces the toughest fight of his career, the culture's forced to ask, do we root for redemption, or do we let the internet turn another man's pain into a meme? This is BarzBuzz, where the stories don't just make headlines, they shake the culture. Tap in, hit that subscribe, and stay locked, because when the next move drops, you'll want to hear it here first. If this saga had you shook, wait till you see what's next. You already know what it is. BarzBuzz got the real, raw, and unfiltered breakdowns. So don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to catch up.